Where is the main cam?
You must do this to prove your loyalty.
It was just another ordinary evening in the village when the unthinkable happened. Adi had been cutting hair for years, but this was different. He had just finished a haircut for a VIP customer when a mysterious woman walked into his shop. She was different. She had a boldness that immediately caught his attention. The woman walked straight up to Adi. "Good evening, sir," she said softly. Adi, who was already irritated, looked up, sizing her up. "Yes," he muttered, brushing his hands on the apron he always wore. "I'm here to ask you for something," she said with a calmness that unnerved him. "I want to open my own hair salon. The villagers say you're the best. I came to learn from you." Adi's eyes narrowed. He had been the only barber in town for so long. No one had dared challenge him. This stranger, who didn't even seem to care about his reputation, had the audacity to ask him for help. Without warning, he snapped, "Get out of my shop!" His voice was loud and harsh, surprising both himself and the woman. But instead of leaving quietly, she just stood there looking at him, her face unreadable. "You don't want to teach me? Fine," she said calmly. "I'll do it on my own." With that, she turned and left. Adi was left stunned. Who did she think she was? But something about her attitude lingered in his mind. She wasn't afraid of him. She wasn't intimidated by his reputation. Adi couldn't shake the feeling that something had just changed, but he was too proud to care. Days went by, and rumors started circulating. The woman, who had introduced herself as Bolu, had opened her own salon. Word spread quickly that her cuts were not just good, they were exceptional. People began flocking to her salon, and the villagers loved her. She didn't overcharge, and she treated everyone with respect, no matter who they were. People could bargain with her, something Adi never allowed. At first, Adi didn't think much of it. But soon, his regular customers, the ones who once came to him for the best haircuts, started disappearing. They had all moved to Bolu's shop. Bolu was slowly stealing everything Adi had built, and there was nothing Adi could do about it. He had been cruel, arrogant, and proud for far too long. And now, it seemed, the consequences were coming. But what Adi didn't know was that this was just the beginning. There was something far darker at play, something he never could have imagined. A few weeks later, Adi was sitting at his shop, watching the empty chairs, when a familiar face appeared at the door. It was Chief Kosoko, the village politician. Adi, always eager to impress anyone with power, stood up immediately. "Chief, what brings you here?" he asked, wiping his hands on his apron. "I've been hearing a lot about you, Adi," the chief said with a smile. "You've got a good reputation, huh?" Adi puffed out his chest, proud. "I'm the best. No one does it better than me." The chief's smile faded into a serious expression. "I need something from you," he said quietly. "What do you need, sir?" "I need hair," Chief Kosoko said, leaning in closer, his voice low. Adi raised an eyebrow. "Hair? What kind of hair?" "Your customer's hair," the chief said, as if it was the most normal thing in the world. I need it for something important, and I'll pay you well." Adi was taken aback. Hair for what? But the glimmer of money in the chief's eyes made Adi's stomach twist. Whatever it was, it sounded like an opportunity. I don't know if I can do that, Chief. It's not really something The chief cut him off. "You will. You'll do it. And you'll be paid generously. A lot more than you're making now." Adi hesitated. Something didn't feel right, but his greed quickly overpowered his doubts. "All right," he said. "I'll get it for you." And just like that, Adi's life took a turn that would lead him down a path of darkness and regret. He started taking the hair of his customers and secretly delivering it to Chief Kosoko, each time receiving large sums of money in return. The money made Adi feel invincible. He had everything he wanted now: power, wealth, and respect. But what he didn't know was that Chief Kosoko had a plan, and it was far more sinister than Adi could ever imagine. One night, after delivering another batch of hair, Adi was returning to his shop when he saw a strange glow coming from Chief Kosoko's house. He stepped closer, curious. But as he got closer, the air grew thick with a strange energy. The door to the chief's mansion creaked open, and Adi stepped inside only to see something that would haunt him forever. Adi's heart raced as he stepped inside the dark, mysterious mansion of Chief Kosoko. The strange glow had drawn him in, but now, as he stood in the dimly lit hallway, a wave of unease washed over him. He had come to deliver more hair, but something felt wrong, very wrong. "Chief?" Adi called out, his voice trembling slightly. The chief's deep voice echoed from somewhere in the back of the house. "Coming, Adi! I've been waiting for you!" Adi swallowed hard. As he walked deeper into the house, he passed rooms with strange symbols on the walls. The air was thick, and it seemed to hum with energy. The chief's mansion was nothing like the simple houses of the villagers. There were dark curtains, heavy wooden doors, and a scent that was both sweet and unpleasant at the same time. When Adi finally reached the chief's inner chamber, he froze. In the center of the room was a large stone circle, and in the middle of the circle there was a calabash. The glow he had seen earlier was coming from inside it, flickering like a fire. Surrounding the circle were dozens of candles burning brightly, and strange, unfamiliar instruments. The chief stood near the calabash, his hands clasped together as he muttered something under his breath. "What's going on, Chief? Why are you doing this?" Adi asked, his voice barely above a whisper. The chief turned to him, a wicked grin curling on his lips. "You've brought me what I need, Adi. You've brought me the key to everything. This hair will change everything." Before Adi could respond, Chief Kosoko grabbed a handful of hair, placing it into the calabash. The glow from the calabash grew stronger, and a low rumble filled the room. Adi's eyes widened in disbelief. He had never seen anything like this before. This was no ordinary ritual. This was something far darker. Suddenly, the air in the room grew colder. Adi felt a chill run down his spine as the calabash began to tremble. "What have you done, Chief?" he whispered. Kosoko's eyes shone with a dark excitement. "You see, Adi, you see. The calabash exploded in a burst of light, and Adi staggered backward, his heart racing. As the light died down, he looked around in a daze. But then, something impossible happened. The hair in the calabash seemed to dissolve into thin air. But it didn't disappear. It turned into a swirling cloud of smoke. Before Adi could make sense of what was happening, a dark figure emerged from the smoke. It was a man tall, menacing, with glowing red eyes. He stepped forward slowly, his gaze fixed on Adi. Who are you? Adi stammered. The figure's lips twisted into a cruel smile. I am the one who controls this power, and you, Adi, are the one who has unwittingly unleashed it. Adi's knees buckled as the figure's presence overwhelmed him. He couldn't move. He couldn't breathe. All he could do was stare at the figure, unable to comprehend what was happening. You have fed me, the figure said in a voice that was both cold and full of malice. Now you will serve me. Adi's mind raced as he tried to understand. What was this? Was it a spirit? A demon? He had unknowingly become a part of something far more dangerous than he could have ever imagined. Why me? Adi asked, his voice trembling. The figure smiled. Because you have given me the key. Your greed, your desire for wealth. It has brought me here, and now you will help me collect more. The realization hit Adi like a punch to the gut. The hair, the sacrifices, it was all part of the ritual. The chief hadn't just wanted hair for some bizarre personal reason. He had been using Adi to summon this dark force. You used me, Adi whispered, his voice filled with regret. Kosoko stepped forward, a cruel laugh escaping his lips. Yes, Adi, you were useful, but now you're nothing more than a tool for me to use in my quest for power. Adi could feel the weight of his decisions crushing him. He had allowed his greed to guide him, and now he had become part of something far beyond his control. His desperation to gain wealth had led him down this dark path, and now he was trapped. Suddenly, the room seemed to close in on him. The dark figure's eyes burned into him, and Kosoko's laughter echoed in his ears. Adi's world began to spiral out of control. Just as Adi was about to speak, a loud banging sound came from the door. Someone was trying to get in. The chief and the figure turned toward the noise, their expressions suddenly fearful. I think someone's found out about us, the chief hissed. We need to finish this quickly. But who was at the door? And what would happen next? The sound of banging grew louder, shaking the walls of the mansion. Adi's heart hammered in his chest. He could hear the urgency in Chief Kosoko's voice as he barked orders. Get the hair, Kosoko shouted, pointing to the pile of hair collected from Adi's customers. We need to finish the ritual now. The dark figure, still looming in the center of the room, began to murmur something incomprehensible. The room filled with a cold wind, and Adi felt himself grow weaker, as if the very air was draining his strength. The banging at the door grew more frantic. Whoever was outside knew something was wrong, and they were desperate to get in. Who is it? Adi gasped, panic rising in his throat. Kosoko's eyes darted toward the door. Doesn't matter. We finish this now. No one can stop us. But just as he spoke, The door exploded open and a figure rushed into the room. It was Bolu. "Adi!" she shouted, her voice filled with disbelief. "What have you done? What is this?" Adi's eyes widened. He had no idea how Bolu had found out, but she had arrived just in time. "Bolu, you shouldn't be here." "It's too late," Adi stammered. The dark figure in the center of the room growled, its red eyes flashing with anger. It raised its hand toward Bolu, and a blast of dark energy shot toward her. But before it could reach her, something incredible happened. A bright light filled the room, pushing back the darkness. The figure screamed in agony as it was thrown back, its form twisting and writhing. "Leave her alone!" Bolu shouted, raising her hand. The light around her grew brighter, and the dark figure shrieked, fading into nothingness. Kosoko's eyes widened in shock and fear. What is this?" he whispered. Bolu turned to face him, her expression calm but full of authority. "You've been using people for your twisted rituals. You've taken lives for your own gain, and now it's over." Kosoko took a step back, his face drained of color. You don't understand. I needed the power. No, you didn't," Bolu interrupted. "You let your greed consume you. You used Adi, you used the villagers, and now you'll face the consequences." As she spoke, the room seemed to close in on Kosoko. The walls began to crack, and the once imposing mansion seemed to collapse in on itself. The power of the ritual had been undone, and now the dark energy that had fueled it was spiraling out of control. Kosoko fell to his knees, his face twisted in terror. "Please, don't let me die. I'll do anything." But Bolu only shook her head, her eyes full of sorrow. "It's too late for you." With a final deafening crash, the mansion crumbled, and both Kosoko and the dark figure were swallowed by the earth, disappearing into the ruins. Adi, who had been frozen in fear, slowly stood up. The weight of his actions pressed down on him. He had betrayed the villagers, sold their hair for power, and had unwittingly helped to summon a dark force. But now it was over. Bolu walked up to him, her expression softening. "It's not too late for you, Adi. You can still make things right." Adi looked at her, his eyes filled with shame. "I don't deserve forgiveness. I've done terrible things." Bolu placed a hand on his shoulder. "We all make mistakes, Adi. But you can change. You can help the village. You have to try." The sun began to rise over the village, casting a warm golden light over the ruins of the mansion. The villagers who had gathered outside watched in awe as the destruction unfolded. But as the dust settled, they saw Bolu and Adi standing together, their faces somber but hopeful. Bolu turned to the villagers. "It's over. The dark days are behind us. We've rid ourselves of the evil that took root in this village." The villagers stepped forward, some cautiously, others with tears in their eyes. They had been betrayed, but they could see now that the truth had come to light. Adi looked at them, his voice breaking. "I'm so sorry. I've hurt you all, and I can never make up for it. but I will spend the rest of my life trying." The villagers, though still angry, could see the sincerity in his eyes. Slowly, they began to forgive him. After everything that had happened, they realized that sometimes redemption was possible, even for the most lost among them. As the days passed, the village began to heal. Adi worked alongside Bolu to rebuild the trust that had been broken. Together, they opened a new salon, one that was honest and welcoming to everyone, no matter their status. Bolu became the village's most trusted barber, and Adi, now humble and kind, helped the villagers in ways he had never done before. They no longer cared about wealth or status. All that mattered was community and the shared bond they had built together. And as for the hair, well, Adi never took anyone's hair again. The ritual was over. The darkness had passed, and the village had been freed. The village, once plagued by greed and dark rituals, found peace again. Bolu and Adi's partnership became a symbol of redemption and change. The villagers, who had once suffered, now thrived, knowing that sometimes even the darkest pasts could lead to a brighter future. Thank you for watching this story until the end. What started as a tale of betrayal and greed turned into one of redemption, forgiveness, and second chances. We've seen how darkness can cloud even the brightest of minds, but with sincerity and change, there's always a way back to the light. Let me know what you think about the story in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts. If you found this story touching, don't forget to like the video and share it with your friends. And of course, if you want to see more captivating stories like this one, make sure to subscribe and tap the notification bell so you never miss an update. Remember, no matter how far we've fallen, we always have the chance to rise again. Stay kind, stay humble, and always look for the light in the darkest of places. Until next time, take care and thank you for your constant support. Love you all.